Is being a vegetarian all it's cracked up to be? Although many Americans do choose to be a vegetarian due to personal or religious choice, it is worth noting that it's not a natural choice for a human being to make. We are omnivores for a reason, according to a couple of studies, one by the National Academy of Sciences and another done by a Brazilian neuroscience by the name of Susana Luciano Uzel. Eating meat and cooking food made us human. The study suggests that enabling the brains of our pre-human ancestors to grow dramatically over the period of a few million years. My main proposition is that having meat in your diet can be just as healthy as a vegetarian diet. I will prove my proposition through the use of nutritional value of meat products, give examples of how soybeans and things like monocropping have a harm on the environment, and show that there are practices for obtaining meat from the animal that is responsible and healthy. Okay. Recently, consumption of meat has come under criticism. However, evidence of meat's nutritional value is strongly supported. For example, a 100-gram portion of raw ground beef contains large amounts of vitamin B12, B3, B6, iron, zinc, selenium, and plenty of other good vitamins and minerals. In fact, many vegetarians lack vitamin B12, which helps keep blood and nerve cells healthy and helps prevent megaloblastic anemia, which can cause weakness and fatigue. Vitamin B12 is particularly important because it cannot be gotten from any amount in plants. And studies show that vegans who don't get enough vitamin B12 have obviously a reduced amount of vitamin B12. Meat is also high in iron. A 3-ounce serving of a piece of beef, for example, has 3.2 milligrams of iron usually. Specifically, the iron found in meat is of the heme variety, which gets absorbed more into the bloodstream, while plant iron, which is usually found like spinach and such, is of the non-heme variety, which doesn't get absorbed as much. It's also been assumed that saturated fats have been assumed to cause heart disease and raise cholesterol in the blood. However, an article on the American Heart Association's webpage said that good saturated fat, or HDL cholesterol, helps because it removes LDL, which is the bad cholesterol in your blood. And so what it does, it acts as a scavenger and carries the LDL cholesterol from your arteries and through the liver, and it gets filtered through your blood and out through your urine. Yay. Let's see. And it said that a healthy level of HDL cholesterol may also protect against heart attack and stroke, while low levels of HDL cholesterol have been shown to increase the risk of heart disease. My second claim is that being a consumer of meat doesn't necessarily mean you harm the environment. In fact, many farming techniques which help support vegetarian lifestyles have been known to harm the environment. The process of monocropping is the opposite of crop rotation, leads to the destruction of nutrient-rich topsoil. According to the Grace Foundation, which is like a natural resource protection agency, it says that monocropping causes a number of negative environmental impacts. Soil degradation results from the common practice of not rotating crops in a monoculture farming. Crop rotation, which is the planned particular location from a farm from year to year, helps improve soil health, quality, and increases crop yield, while monocropping has been linked to declining crop yield and loss of nutrients in the soil. It also contributes to biodiversity loss. At the beginning of the 20th century, the average farm actually had crop rotation. They grew like 5 different types of plants and soil was good. However, by the 21st century, the average farm was only growing one type of crop. And because they only grow one type of crop, crops now are susceptible to insects, weeds, fungi, and other pests. And as these pests spread, they almost become unstoppable. And so this means we have to use more things like insecticides, fungicides, and herbicides, which ends up in our water, in our soil, in our ecosystem, and is bad for everything. So another way a vegetarian can be harmful for the environment is manufacturing of soy-based products such as tofu. According to the World Wildlife Fund, the expansion of soybean plantations into forests also contributes to climate change. Deforestation Right. Deforestation Deforestation is responsible for 50% of all global greenhouse gases emissions caused by people. Conversion of forests into soy plantations in the Amazon particularly threatens climate change. Runoff from the soy plantations can carry a substantial level of agrochemicals suspended in the soil and organic matter. This is a major source of freshwater and groundwater contamination, which has serious impacts on the health of people and wildlife. My last point I will make about non-vegetarians is that there are many ways to eat meat responsibly and healthily. In fact, eating meat raised in a right way ensures that animals are healthy and happy beforehand. Animals raised in open pastures are healthy and need less human handling and less drug intervention and have longer lifespans. According to an article in The Atlantic, research being conducted in Australia and New Zealand is showing that when stress is minimized in animals, the meat has a lower pH and is more tender. Meat fed by grass-fed animals has more omega-3 fatty acids, which help reduce blood pressure and irregular heartbeat, and can even prevent heart attack, generally. Let's see. In conclusion, there is nothing wrong with being a non-vegetarian, especially when you are responsible about it. Eating meat can be healthy in many ways and provide many essential nutrients such as vitamin B12, heme iron, and reduce your levels of bad cholesterol when eating meat. It can be healthy for the environment and can be done responsibly in a healthy way. Because of this, being an omnivore can be just as healthy as a vegetarian diet. Thank you.
All right, Johnny, the rhetorical question to get our attention was fine. You identify your topic pretty clearly. The secondary points, as I've mentioned to a couple other people, they are not always phrased as declarative statements. I think there was definitely one that was declarative, but the other ones need to be a little bit stronger. However, you did signpost them very clearly in the body of the speech, which does help the audience listen pretty closely. You do an okay job explaining on the first point a lot of things, although I think your citation of evidence is a little skimpy on that first point, and you need to be, I mean, there's not much doubt it's factual data concerning what the contents of the meat are, but for instance, you mentioned at one point that vegetarians lack B vitamins. I don't get a source on that. Your source citation on the next thing is studies say. What studies? I don't know what you're referring to in that particular situation. There's also a claim about how meat, the iron in meat is more absorbent in the human body than if it comes from vegetables like spinach, and that is asserted. I'm sure that you got the information from someplace, but it's not cited in the presentation, so that's a little bit problematic. Now, you do have some citation of information on the issue of saturated fats. The one thing that I think is missing there is the notion that the meat that people are eating produces the HDL rather than the LDL, and that as a result, if they didn't eat the meat, they wouldn't have the HDL that's getting rid of the LDL. So there's a link there that needs to be clarified. On the point concerning the environment, in particular monocropping, is it monocropping? Is that the term? I'm just trying to figure out how that's relevant to vegetarianism or non-vegetarianism. That sounds like it's a decision made by farmers or some agribusiness, and how it's connected to vegetarianism is not clear. This is a link that you're saying, well, all of this is bad stuff, and if I was a non-vegetarian, I'd say it's a bad stuff. If I'm vegetarian, it's a bad stuff. How the heck is it related to that particular issue? It's not clear. Also, it's not. It's an environmental issue, so it's very generic. There might be an indirect way to relate it to the issue of health, but if your main proposition is health, I'm not exactly sure that it advances that main proposition about a person's health. And then the labeling on the third point sounds like it's mostly, the whole third point sounds like it's a refutation of a value argument that might be coming from the other side, as opposed to a reason that it is healthy. Although it did sound to me a little bit like you actually have a vegetarian argument built in there, because the cows that eat grass are better to eat than the ones that don't, so we should eat the vegetarian cows as opposed to the cannibalistic cows, apparently. I'm not exactly sure that adds to your argument about health, although it might add to the refutation of some value argument that you're anticipating. All right, thank you.